What's up, chat? Welcome back to the stream. It's Tuesday. We are becoming tactical today. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We got a couple drops today. First off, Emperor's Children literally just went live on the Faction Focus article over on Warhammer Community. We'll talk about that. But the other thing is a confirmation of the fly rules in 11th edition, which it turns out in one instance, every rumor was correct, which is a little surprising. Very different fly mechanics that we are seeing in the current edition of the game, and I'm very excited about them. So we're going to start with that because I am Fate Weaver. Thank you for the super chat.
At Fate Weaver 9 donated $5 through super chat. Welcome back 9th edition fly, my beloved.
In fairness, it's not quite as insane as 9th edition fly, fortunately, but it is still incredibly strong. I do think that it is likely to very empower the fly keyword in a huge way. Yeah. So let's hop in and we'll talk about that first because I do think it's going to add some context to Emperor's Children and stuff. So we have a new article that talks about the new land speeder, as well as the fly keyword. So here's an interesting thing immediately that we can note about the fly keyword. First of all, it doesn't do anything by itself. So fly just, gives you fly. So anti-fly stuff works on you and all that stuff. It itself, unlike the current edition where it's like you can use through the air movement and also you get to move over intervening models. While you're just operating normally, fly doesn't let you go over things, right? So it doesn't at a baseline let you go over models. It doesn't let you go over trade features. It doesn't let you go vertically. It doesn't let you land on stuff. It doesn't do anything. It's just this passive thing. It's just a keyword that you have. However, when you are selected to make a normal, advanced, fallback, or charge move before moving any models to the unit, the active player can declare it will take to the skies. If it does so, you subtract 2 inches from the maximum movement distance, and you can then ignore vertical distances. You can move through all types of model, including enemy monsters and monster vehicle models, move horizontally and vertically through all categories of terrain feature. So it requires that you dock yourself movement in order to use it at all, but then gives you the ability to go through everything. So you don't have to use this like diagonal movement. You ignore vertical distance, so you just move horizontally and then can basically be landed on any type of terrain that you can legally stand on. It basically like old school editions of fly, where fly just totally ignored vertical movement distance, which let you just traverse infinitely tall buildings immediately, without spending any movement, for example. All of that you can do. But the paradigm shift, and the important thing to keep in mind, is that if you do not choose to take to the sky, fly doesn't do anything. It just says you're able to fly. Some rules refer to, flying models or units. Like, Icarus weapons, for example. So I thought that was pretty interesting. That's, I think that's going to trip some people up. They'll be like, well, I fly, so I'm going to consolidate over this intervening guy. And you're like, no. Fly doesn't do that. Fly doesn't move over enemies anymore unless you are making a specific type of move and you choose to use your jump jets, essentially. So, pretty neat. I do think obviously this is a huge empowerment to fly units. There's some very limited cases where for example, charging over intervening screening units and stuff is a little worse, right? There's a lot of cases where it's like, oh, I hit a big charge, so I'm going to charge over you and get to the objective behind you, for example. That's no longer going to work because you are going to reduce your movement in order to move over the enemy in that way. It also, obviously, the Q&A we discussed earlier on last Friday, talked at length about desperate breakout checks, and I don't know, obviously we'll have to see the wording of that rule, but I don't know if fly is still required to make desperate breakout checks if you move over enemies and you fall back as well. So that could be something that Because this explicitly doesn't say that you ignore them, it could be a rule in Desperate Breakout, or it could be that flying units do have to take Desperate Breakout checks if they fall back through people. I don't know. We'll find out. We also saw the Land Speeder datasheet for the new Space Marine Land Speeder. It's kind of cool. He's a toughness 8, move 14. Little flyer. He does have deep strike. 9 wounds. OC 3, which is a little high for these little guys. In addition to that, after he's shot, he can make a normal move up to D6 inches, so a little shoot and scoot, which is pretty cool. But then obviously cannot charge. And then comes packing with a multi-melta onslaught Gatling cannon and a missile launcher. Missile launcher's one shot, D6 plus 1. You can charge or take this guy. Right. But in current edition, right, you can say, I'm going to charge that guy. You roll a high charge, you go, okay, I'm going to charge over you. Now, you go to charge that guy. If you roll a high charge, you would have to roll 2 inches farther in order to move over an intervening enemy, right? So the chances that, like, I mean, this happens like I play Chaos Demons, right? This happens all the time with Chaos Demons where you're like, I'm going to charge with Bellicor, and Bellicor ended up rolling big enough that he can like now access an objective, or he can like open up real estate by charging over people. Those instances are likely to be fewer and farther between because you will have to roll 2 inches higher on your charge to unlock the capacity to move into that position. So that's like the one case in which it's worse. So Storm Fury Missile Launcher is exactly a las cannon, I guess. One shot, strength 12, AP 3, D6 plus damage, 48 range. So exactly one single las cannon. There are 4 missiles on it, but I guess we can only shoot one at a time. It comes with an onslaught Gatling cannon, multi-melta, and you can switch the onslaught Gatling cannon to a heavy flamer, which I don't think you're gonna do. Like you can lose an 8-shot devastating gun for a strength 5 AP 1 torrent. I mean, I guess it's fine. I don't know. He seems okay, I guess. No like support abilities, I think, have me a little wary. But if they're very cheap, they're like a good utility unit. But the fact that it's not like the Storm Speeders, where the Storm Speeders do army support when they shoot you. This little guy just moves. So like he's a little multi-melta delivery system. There's some cases where like having more things than multi-meltas on them is good if you're playing salamanders or something. So maybe that's fine. Yeah, salamanders probably take the flamer. I agree with that chat for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that was end the discussion of that article on a little bit of a downer, I guess. With the land speeder rules, that guy, I don't know, he's okay. He's whatever. I have to grab the faction focus video. One moment, chat. One sec. We just got the Emperor's Children article about 5 minutes ago, so we're gonna hop in over. Yeah, so let's talk about Emperor's Children and jump over to that article. As always, what we'll do is we'll go through the faction focus article and the video at the same time. So we'll watch the video, and usually if we skip to about 50 seconds into the video, we get over there waffling about the army ability.
They take advantage of all of them, but also circumnavigate many of the initial ones. Of course, having Ignore's cover built in on so many of their range profiles, that being the Noise Marines, automatically means that the changes to, you don't, and then your AP just stacks up here.
New detachments we're going to go through.
Yay,
we're going to start off with Elegant Brutes, and this is a detachment all around Emperor's Children Terminators.
Yeah, so your Emperor's Children Terminators, on the turn upon which they are set up on the battlefield, will get +1 to their charge rolls. And so we know you're going to be deep striking 8 inches away. Of course, you're still going to need what you need on the roll, but having +1 is always good. And it's when they are set up. Does that mean when they disembark from, say, a Land Raider?
Maybe I'm not sure, but I think definitely it will include deep strikes.
I think
I think
will.
this is
and it was like setting Tim up. He's like, "Hey, could that be a Land Raider?" And it's just like, I don't know. I imagine that a disembarkation move does qualify for setting up. Obviously, I don't know that for sure because it is a move now. It is it's explicitly described in the rules as a movement. But I imagine that a disembarkation move sets you up with the threats of the Land Raider. Tim's like, I don't know, man. That's very funny.
Okay.
I think it quite will when they get out of Land Raider as well. And so if that is the case, I think there is some really exciting.
So basically, any way you're going to get them to the battlefield,
Yes.
because they're not going to walk, right?
It could
They're
have
gonna
been
be
recorded. Yeah, we could have double checked that. We could have fact checked, but no. Yeah, that's something that like they've done this a bunch of faction focus articles or at least faction focus videos where they're like, you know, instead of doing another take of an interaction, they'll just leave it in. Which is great.
Either
Who
get
does
them
anything?
via Land Raider or by deep striking it.
No, those are only two ways to get
And
them
it
on the
takes
table.
time.
And yes, I do
I'm not
believe this
interested.
does give them a lot more of a leapfrog effect, is in getting into and getting grips to your opponent as soon as possible.
Very cool.
At letters from Links donated 20 Swedish krona through Super Chat. This should be Adam and a lead designer. Note him, rolling eyes face emoji.
Yeah, I think it's tough. Well, I don't know if they're still doing this, but like they typically want to keep the designers kind of faceless because of, you know, community interaction in the past, right? People have been like really upset with the designers in the past. And so they don't typically want to like showcase the designers, but also the design team is like a group of people, right? There's like 10 people inside their whole team, and so I think that maybe a consideration is that not necessarily every one of them like knows all of the components of the rules if they're each tasked with like you know, working on different factions or different sections or whatever. Yeah. Oh, hello.
Well, obviously, they've got some
was weird.
enhancements and some stratagems that help them out as well. One of those enhancements is Frenzied Ferocity. This is an upgrade enhancement, which means you can give it to a whole unit.
Hey,
and it means that the
nice.
unit's attacks have sustained hits.
Yes, indeed. This is just a fantastic ability. Just sustained hits on their attacks. Does not say melee attacks. Does not say shooting attacks. This is sustained
It's
hits
all
one in
attacks.
both phases. I think this is superb.
And potentially Overwatch as well.
Correct. Yes, which, yeah, exactly right. Which is snap shooting in addition to that. So the sixes just double up.
Obviously, there's some stratagems.
Still already have sustained hits on their Reaper autocannon. So this is it's only really affecting like combi weapons maybe. The awkward part about these Terminators, and I think that we're still struggling, I think, with the baseline Terminator datasheet, which is this like, it has these midline profiles, right? Like we're spending a lot of effort, a detachment point, +1 to charge, an ability to get like strength 5 AP2 weapons into melee. You know, which is like, okay, well, those are fine. But like I could be putting this effort into delivering flawless blades or something. Instead we're doing it with Terminators. And then the issue I think too is that they really want you to use this ability, right? They're like, well, if you get +1 to charge out of Deep Strike, and so you're rolling an 8 instead of a 9, and you can get reroll charges from your ability, your datasheet ability, isn't that great? Except the datasheet ability is fucking atrocious. like one of the worst sources of charge rerolls you can imagine. Also, I think it's going to get rewritten probably, and I wish that they would give us some indication of how these effects will work, because the way that the charge rolls work now is that you declare your target after you roll the distance you're moving. So this like charge reroll based on the target doesn't make sense anymore. So these abilities are likely going to get FAQ'd. So we don't actually know like what this is going to look like. And currently it's just this joke of an ability, because you want to shoot your...
At Ryong 6931 donated $5 through Super Chat.
Hey
Just play
yo,
Death Guard if you want good Terminators lol.
or Dark Angels. You get Belial in there. You know what I'm saying? Best Terminator ever. Oh, my cats are fighting, chat. The what was I gonna say? The problem is that you have this unit that has a bunch of anti-infantry range weapons, right? Like I have a bunch of 1 damage sustained hit stuff. So, if I shoot an infantry unit with all my attacks, you can't split fire to get the ability. You have to be the target of all of the attacks. Which means like you could dock yourself the shooting and shoot with less attacks so that you don't kill your target. That's a potential. But let's say I'm going to shoot all my attacks. So I'm going to shoot like 20-ish shots, right? A bunch of 4 shotguns. And I want to shoot an infantry unit because that's what my guns are good against. It's all like strength 4, anti-infantry, the sustained hit 1, strength 7. If I shoot that infantry unit, my opponent's just going to pull me out of charge range, right? So I might as well not have this ability, because if I shoot all my attacks into one target, I'm not going to get the opportunity. So I would want to then pick something more heavily armored. So then I take the time to resolve 20 strength 4, a Reaper autocannon and 16 strength 4 AP0 combi bolter attacks into like a vehicle that I'm wounding on 6s and it's going to take no damage. So I'm just losing the attacks anyway. So my choices are to not shoot at all or not shoot with anything besides like one guy who's outside rapid fire range so I don't kill my charge target, or B, shoot into something I'm not going to damage. So it's like, why bother? So we're paying a premium, we're paying what do these guys end up being, like 29 points per model, and we're getting 4 ranged attacks apiece, but in order to use my Datasheet ability I have to eschew the ranged attacks. And so like they're like, hey, we want you to get +1 to charge so you can make these charges out of deep strike, because you're like hitting an 8 with the rerolls, which is like 60-ish% chance. So if you're doing it a bunch of times with different Chaos Terminator units, you might be okay. Except that in order to do that, in order to get that, I have to utilize this Datasheet ability that's just like atrociously, poorly designed. Now, hopefully this ability changes and just is like, if you are hit by 1 attack, you can, re-roll the charge or whatever, or I don't know. Charge re-roll, target dependent charge re-roll. Charge re-rolls are gonna have to change because they just don't work mechanically with 11th edition. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, chat. Hop back over in. Grab my
Gems to go with them as well. Their army detachment rule allows them to have a bonus when they are set up. One of the stratagems effectively is what's referred to as uppy downy by some players.
Yes, indeed. So there's one command point to take your unengaged Emperor's Children, Terminators at the end of the fight phase, and put them back into strategic reserve, which allows them to be redelivered to a different portion of the battlefield and then attempt to get in.
Brilliant. Well, that's Emperor's Children Terminators. There is a new detachment which benefits your battle line units. This is called Frenzied Host, and this effectively is making your bread and butter units even more effective.
This is the one I expect to see adopted very quickly on day 1
Holy
of the
shit.
new edition. I think this one slots into the existing playstyles of Emperor's Children at the moment. The best of these. The way this reads is that Emperor's Children battle line units selected to make an advance or fallback move will then have +1 strength to their attacks until the end of the turn. That isn't shooting or fighting restricted. It is both shooting and fighting. They will get +1 strength. Yeah. I think
if
this
we're
is
if the other detachments are 2 DP, let's see if they say anything about detachment points at the bottom of your chat. Each of these detachments are 1 detachment point. You can combine them all together in a Strike Force game or use them alongside existing detachments from the Codex. Spectacle of Slaughter, Elegant Brute Circle alongside Rapid Evisceration. Okay, well, fair enough. Great Nights tomorrow. That's going to be exciting. In any case, if you can use this alongside literally any of the other detachments, Coterie of the Conceited, Carnival of Excess, all that shit, this is just good, right? Infractor Lord Exultant is like the core. Peerless Bladesman, Peerless Bladesman plus strength. The core of the faction is this unit, is the Infractor the Infractor plus Lord Exultant Wombo. And this detachment just pay 1 detachment point, and they permanently get +1 strength all the time, basically. That includes their pistols. They get strength 5 bolt pistols, strength 8 or 9 plasma. Which is like not the craziest thing ever, but it is going to be very relevant. Like when you're going in and I'm going to resolve, 6 or 7 attacks against the Poxwalker unit on my way. +1 strength is extremely relevant, but then pushing these guys to strength 5 in melee is crazy good. All right. Well, that's the one to beat right now, I think.
A very, very powerful ability.
And you're almost always going to choose either a fallback or an advance, because your army special rule is you can advance and charge, or you can fall back and charge, and you can advance and shoot, and you can fall back and shoot. So unless you're doing an action, or there's some very specific instance where you're not able to do one of those, you're almost always going to benefit from that.
You nailed it, mate. Exactly niche cases, I think performing actions is the niche case most likely to occur. You're pretty much always going to have this ability. And what is interesting is that Emperor's Children and their profiles, especially their melee profiles, exist at very, not restrictive, but very confined brackets. That's usually between strengths 4 and strength 7 is where all their profiles exist.
Yeah.
And then +1 strength, it just really pushes the damage to higher and higher levels. Thinking about a Lord Exultant, for example, because they're going to be attached to a battle line unit, and therefore, should be affected by this ability theoretically. And they will go to strength 8 with Lance on their melee
speaking
attacks.
of Lord Exultants, one of the enhancements is for the Lord Exultant specifically. It's like you saw this coming, Adam.
Yes.
And this basically gives that unit's ranged attacks +1 AP, which obviously stacks with the army's ability.
Wow. I mean, okay. All right, bud.
It was very funny when we were discussing this detachment before we started recording this, and I was like, I don't know if this is any good. It gives this model's range attacks +1 AP. He comes with a bolt pistol or a plasma pistol, and you're like, hold up, Adam. It's for the unit. And I was like, oh my god, this is
all of a
quite
sudden,
good. All of a sudden,
you've
this is
got a
quite
whole
good.
unit kicking
Is
out
it good?
20 plus shots into something.
With
That's
+1
pretty
strength,
tasty.
if they've advanced off.
There is that funny build. Maybe we'll see this build return, but there's a funny build for a really long time where you took 10 Tormentors with Lord Exultant so that you could like infiltrate them, and then you had this like turn 1 bum rush unit because they could infiltrate and then advance and charge immediately right out of the gate. I saw that being played when the Codex came out like last year for like a month or two, and then it dropped off the face of the earth. I think people are like, why am I spending this like whatever it is, like 180 point infiltrating unit to deliver one non-rerolling Lord Exultant into melee? Yeah, I don't know. +1 AP?
Fallen back. It actually is. It's actually really quite good. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
And then, of course, there are a series of stratagems that help them out.
Maybe we take that build with the Lord Exultant where he can take a bunch of pistols. What's the Lord Exultant pistol build? Is like, he starts with a bolt pistol, and then he can flip his power spear to a screamer pistol, and then he also keeps his plasma pistol. It's like dual wields. I don't know. AP2 screamer pistol seems okay. Is that good, chat? I don't think so, but it's funny. I hope this enhancement is not expensive, because this enhancement does not seem particularly helpful.
The one we're looking at today is Possessive Mania. This is effectively a tool to make your unit more survivable.
Yeah, it's one command point. It's your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase. When an enemy unit targets one of your Emperor's Children battle line units, we would say this is an Armor of Contempt-like effect, because it will minus the AP, the incoming AP, that targets your unit if they are on an objective. So if they're within range of an objective, they'll get an Armor of Contempt-like effect.
And in range of an objective will usually also mean in cover, so that will be stacking with your -1 to hit.
Yep.
But cover no longer provides you +1 save. So actually, those abilities that lower AP arguably more useful than they were in the last edition.
No, the other thing I'd like to point out, because you're exactly right, the other thing I'd like to point out about this is that so many times when you talk about an objective triggering ability, you have to control that objective for it to trigger. This does not say that. It just says within range of an objective. So you don't need to be controlling it yet. You may need to be using this to get control of the objective, which I find very powerful. I think that is part of the X factor of this stratagem.
Yeah. Last up.
Yeah, I guess, so it's interesting. And I don't know if this is necessary anymore, But this stratagem says that the AP characteristic modifier applies until the enemy unit has attacked. So it triggers when you target a battle line unit, and then it applies through the attack activation, and then it expires. Obviously, that's a consideration that they made for 10th edition because of the strength of AP characteristic modifiers in conjunction with the armor save bonus from cover. But now that cover doesn't benefit your armor save, I don't know if that's necessary. And I'm curious as to the power level of AOC if it continues to be only a single apply to only a single activation, just because of the fact that like AP characteristics are going to be way stronger, right? Now that cover doesn't double apply. And the problem was that you of course could like turn your opponent's entire AP3 gun line to basically AP1. But now that you can't do that, do we still need the one activation, nomenclature on this stratagem? The stratagem feels very limited. It definitely is emblematic of the reduction in power level of stratagems that they're very clearly trying to apply, right? It's one command point is restricted to battle line only, battle line in range of an objective, and also only one activation. It has like so many extra riders on it to do anything that this. I mean, it's a good effect, right? Armor of Contempt is fine, and it's shooting or fight phase, so you can use it in both cases. But it does have so many additional sort of like requirements that it feels a little bit. I don't know, a little sort of lame, I guess.
We're going to have a look at Spectacle of Slaughter. This is a detachment that works with your flawless blades. These are like your elite combat unit, effectively, for the Emperor's Children.
My favorite one. I know many players of Emperor's Children whose flawless blades are their favorite portion of the army, and now they're getting supported in brand new and exciting ways. The detachment rule is a sight to behold, mate. You want to tell us about it?
So the detachment rule is all of the flawless blades in your army get the fights first rule.
And despite your fights first changing in modality a little bit, it's going to take some time to people adopt to how it has changed, as in the way fights first changes in priority, defaulting to the active player rather than the inactive player. Aggressive.
I don't know. This feels kind of mid. I'm a level. I do think like the idea here is that if we're just like diving 3 flawless blade units into the opponent's army, it does make like coming back and killing them a little bit tough. But it's not like a flawless blade unit is difficult to kill in shooting, right? And I guess like it lets them stick into the fight for it's like slightly longer. But at the end of the day, they're just like T5-3-1 heavy infantry. They don't have a field up paint or anything. Like they're just gonna eat shit in the shooting phase. And then you still get to charge 1 unit at a time and kill them. So like, I don't know. Fights first across a wide breadth is going to be much stronger than I think we are giving it credit for, because like the more units you can give fights first, right, the more chances that you're going to have to activate it. Which is sort of the idea. If your opponent's able to single out individual fight firsting units, then you're not really getting any benefit from the special rule. But if it's on a bunch of different squads, it'll be helpful. But that said, it's still only 3 units at the maximum, and you have to like deliver them to the fight. And it's not like this is a unit that you typically take in like 6s in like max unit size, because they're so expensive. A lot of times you just take 3s and then you use them for like spot removal, and giving those units fight first is not hugely impactful. You're like, oh, look out, you better not come in. I'll be able to attack you with 1 strength 6 AP 3 2 damage melee attack. And if I don't kill you, I die, because I will make a Darmodic Pact and lose the model if I fail. So yeah, I don't know. This feels very, very sort of like a mid effect. It does seem like the upgrades are very strong though.
Plays with flawless blades is going to be scary. It's going to be something you want to know about. Fights first is still an amazing ability.
Yeah. So especially if you can have it across multiple units, I think that's really the difference. Is that previously one.
Tim. Great minds think alike, man.
Fights first unit was the way to go.
Yes.
In the new edition, if you can have multiple units that have fights first, even if your opponent charges, your whole army, some of those are going to get to activate and fight before they do.
Could not have said it better. I think that's the way you want to think about fights first. Now, it used to be you wanted the best fights first unit you could possibly have. Sometimes that was the Lion, sometimes that was, a Judicial.
Well, you've got some in them for children already, like Lucius has
exactly
already got
right.
it.
And so when you take Lucius and now, a couple units of Flawless Blades, and then you could be playing in the Frenzied Host as well and have very well supported battle line units, and then you have Fights First Flawless Blades supporting those battle line units, things start to look really, really good synergy-wise. They come together very well.
Yeah. Obviously,
I don't know if I would go that far. I don't know. I don't know what the overlap there is, but sure. I guess your opponent is incentivized to attack the Flawless Blades first, so you get to interrupt with your Lord Exultant that isn't charging. I don't know, man. In any case, we could just give all the Flawless Blade units +2 movement. This feels like I'm gonna level. This feels like the actual detachment ability. It's like you probably pay like +10 points or something for a Flawless Blade unit to make it movement 10. That, I think, is the reason we're taking this detachment.
there's some enhancements and some stratagems that bolster them further. And we're going to look at two of the enhancements for the Flawless Blades. One of them is Eager Patrons. That effectively gives the unit +2 move. Just a flat +2 move.
That's a lot. That's a lot of move. Flawless Blades are already one of the fastest non-fly infantry units in the game, and +2 move that's terrifying speed.
And that's obviously on top.
I mean, they're move 8. Let's not get crazy. But move 8 to move 10 is a good improvement, a solid improvement in threat range. Unironically, I think that Flawless Blades did previously have a delivery problem. Because they can't go into rhinos, so they don't get delivered alongside Noise Marines or Infractors in the same way that the rest of the faction does. They were just like, despite being literally having a higher movement characteristic than the rest of the army, they did feel slower. I mean, they just were slower, right? A Lord Exultant being able to like sit in a rhino that's in an L in the center of the table, that then disembarks 3 and then moves 7 plus advance, is significantly faster than a Flawless Blade unit that has to deploy farther back, can't stage as far forward, doesn't get the setup movement, and can't, sort of close the distance as well. Getting +2 movement on these guys is unironically very strong. I don't think it's like quite as groundbreaking as Adam's making it sound like, but I do think that it is good.
Top of the army-wide ability, which is advance and charge. So +2 move, plus your advance, plus your already fairly generous move. Yes. That is a very long threat range.
It is. It is
fairly generous move. That's how I would put Flawless Blades. Are they the fastest non-fly infantry in the game? No, but is their movement fairly generous? Yeah, I think that's fair.
Fantastic. If you're taking this attachment, you're gonna take this auto include.
Like
and then next up is also an upgrade for a Flawless Blade unit. This is Beguiling Grotesquerie, and it means that enemy units can't snap shoot against your Flawless Blades.
So the simplest way of saying this is it means your unit can't be overwatched, as we would colloquially think of it right now, correct?
Yeah. So yeah, they can't be overwatched. There's a few other rules that give snapshot as well. Effectively, any time that you're shooting at a unit and hitting on 6s, it's snap shooting.
Mm-hmm. Downside is you won't be able to take those two together. So the real question is whether or not you want to give up the +2 movement for the anti-Overwatch effect. But that's great. What's so funny is that like it's gonna be like, you can't snapshot me, and the guy's like, well, I have a torrent weapon, so it's okay. And he's like, no. This torrent weapon still snapshots. It just auto hits and snapshot, but it is still a snapshot, so you can't flavor me. Even if you can't hit me on 6s, you still also can't flamethrower me. Which is good. I mean, I think that's extremely helpful, especially because we've been seeing so much. First of all, snapshots going to affect other things in addition to Overwatch, right? We've already seen that there's orc stratagems that give you reactive shooting in your opponent's turn that then use the snapshot effect. You're unable to target Flawless Blades with those effects. Although how often that's going to happen, I don't know. I think it's going to require that like they inflict casualties or that they interact with you in some way. So who knows? But we've also been seeing that so many things these days, defilers, are really good at overwatching, and I assume that that's just going to continue as the trend is going to continue as we push forward into the new edition. We're going to see, Space Marines already retain Oath of Moment, right? So Space Marines are going to have access to rerolls. We do have like these Thousand Suns defilers that hit on 4s. We have these bricks like Abaddon defiler bricks that are full rerolling. And all these, I think Overwatch currently is is extremely relevant as an effect. We'll see if that continues in 11th edition. I imagine that it will. And so, like, speaking with the context of late stage 10th edition where we're at right now, anti-Overwatch is an incredibly impactful effect to have.
But generally speaking, it basically means you can't overwatch the unit.
Yeah, but the fact that it has other computations and other little nuance to it means that there's this kind of really cool interactions that can come out of this ability as well. And I do think it is quite good.
And then last up, there are 3 stratagems in there. We're going to look at one of them, which is single-minded strike. This again is for flawless blades, and it basically means that when this unit charges, you can move through enemy models.
Yeah, kind of like the Harlequin flip belt ability of Days of Old, you may remember. So one command point, your unit of flawless blades can move through enemy models, excluding monsters and vehicles. Very powerful for charging through your opponent's first line of defense or screen, and getting deeper and deeper into the units that you really want to. And so
whatever. That's what a nothing burger of a stratagem.
Works, I gotta say, the way the charge phase has changed in that you do not select a target, you roll the dice and see where you can reach, means this ability, this stratagem, has incredible upside potential.
Yeah, so I was going to say exactly that, which is that you can run forward with this unit now. You can have that extra 2 movement onto it, right up in the face of the enemy screen, and then just run.
Is there a timing window where this works? I mean, we've seen like, so they've talked about, I don't know, the charge rules in 10th edition, started being pretty concise in my opinion, and then ended up like just sort of being fucky-wucky by the end of the edition, with like weird fucking interim timing windows where your charge declaration and your determination to charge and stuff, like there's a window where you can use stratagems and stuff. I don't know if that's the case for 11th edition. But, like, here's the thing. This affects you when you start a move, right? You can't, to my knowledge, start a move without having declared your target. So they're talking like, oh, I can roll my charge and then see if this stratagem would change my, like, charge target. And it feels like, because we haven't begun the movement yet, if I can't make base contact against that charge target with the roll that I made, I can't declare them as a target anyway, so the stratagem wouldn't be relevant. I don't. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it's like such a weird thing. It is declaring a charge count. If declaring a charge is the same as starting the movement, then this stratagem is not very good because you don't know what your charge is at the time you use it, right? But if it's not, then the stratagem's also not very good because you would have to already have made the charge in order to use the stratagem anyway. So I would already have to have declared my targets, I assume. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the timing, maybe there is a window where this works.
Straight through it effectively into the target you really want to get to. If you get a full strength unit of flawless blades into the thing you want to kill, it's probably going down.
I've been playing Imperial Knights recently, and my Canis Rex died from all his wounds to none left wounds from a unit of flawless blades recently. They do that.
There you go. Well, Adam, thank you so much for joining us. That was The Emperor's Children. We'll be back very soon with more Warhammer 40,000 faction focus.
All right. Oh, we auto-played yesterday's video. But you see what I'm saying about this, right, chat? So if I can only declare a charge target that I can move into base contact with, right? So I like roll my 2d6, and then I determine who I can base, and that I declare them as a charge target. But because there's an intervening unit, I couldn't move into base contact with the charge target, with the first charge target that I wanted to charge. Then I couldn't declare them as a target anyway, right? So then the stratagem isn't very helpful for me. Like you could, I guess, like charge the unit in the middle. Like, I mean, who knows what the basic requirements are? It sounds like once you've declared a target, the movement restrictions are much more alleviated. So I think you just have to move into engagement range of with your models of the unit you declared as a charge target. Once you have determined you can move into base contact with it, which means that you can do like more with weird swing charges and stuff, I think, in this edition than you could previously. But it does require a very specific setup. You don't declare charge targets. Yeah, what you do? What? You just declare them after you roll, not before, right? I mean, I think we're prognosticating based on rules previews we've seen and on actual rules. I assume that this does work correctly. But it does feel very weird, right? You just roll and see who you can base. Right. That's what I'm saying. So like I roll, and if I on the current board state, when I roll my charge, cannot base the unit that's behind the unit in front of me, I can't declare them as a charge target, right? So when I then go to move, using this stratagem isn't helpful for me because I already have declared the unit in front instead of the one to the back. Yeah, I don't know, chat. So like what I'm saying is that if I, for example, right, let's say I have 2 units and one of them is in front of the other one. So like, can I open up like MS Paint? We'll do an MS Paint. We'll do a little paint thing. So I have 2 units. Here's my unit. They're gonna be green because green's the best color. Here's my unit. I'm gonna charge the blue unit, which is gonna be here. However, red unit is here. And I want to use the stratagem to go through the red unit. If I roll my charge and I determine that I could so I roll my charge and I have to declare targets that I can move to base contact. However, I currently can't get far enough to hit blue unit because red unit is intervening, which means I can't declare them as a charged target, right? So when I roll my charge, I would have to declare the red unit, even if I had a stratagem that let me move through the red unit. But I assume that, like, maybe you're allowed to declare targets that you can't currently access. You just don't move if you can't, like, base them, or you can't engage them or something, right? I bet that's the case. I bet it's like a situation where it's like choose a target in range or whatever, and then like if at that stage you can't move base contact, then the charge fails and you don't go anywhere. However, at the beginning of the move, then I like activate my ability to go through the intervening unit. It's just weird.
At letters from Links donated 20 Swedish krona through Super Chat. Imagine one model can reach blue?
Yeah, if for sure, there's like going to be a situation where like I have a guy in the green unit who's like here, and we rolled just enough that he can go here. I don't know why my pen got really small. And then I can use the thing to let the rest of green unit go here. That's like, maybe that's fine. But I don't know. We'll have to see exactly how the charge rules work. I mean, obviously, a bunch of things are changing in charge and pilot and fight mechanics. So, like, there's probably a bunch of different like pieces of minutia in there. That would have been a good time. That would have been a good time to showcase some of those, chat. I'm just saying, we could have just put a little thing in there and been like, here's the sequence of charge moves. Wouldn't that be cool? That would have been nice. Or like, here's pilot and consolidation moves. Like, here's the other thing that happens, I think, is that because the I must have made this small. Because there's a 2-inch engagement zone, right? Nowadays in 11th edition. The actual like denial area of red unit is really big. And so it depends on what the restrictions are. If we were talking about this in the context of like 10th edition, the fact that there's this 2-inch like no-go zone here from like an intervening red squad means that you would either have to charge red and then your units would just get pinned on red anyway in order to get to blue regardless, unless the two units were like really far apart. Like a 2-inch engagement zone between two units, by the way, is fucking enormous. Like that's huge. And you can move through it, but the implication is right now that you can't end inside it. So you have to go really far. You have to go all the way through in order to dodge that 2-inch zone. And I think in a lot of cases, it is going to restrict a lot of these like funky charge moves that people are used to doing, because you just be like, oh, I just can't make it there without declaring the red unit. And then if I declare the red unit, most of my models are going to go into engagement range of red anyway. So it doesn't really matter, right? Like half my unit gets stuck on this side of red instead of being able to make it all the way to blue. I don't know. I'm curious to see exactly how the charge mechanics play out, because I do think that there's going to be like a lot of weird instances where stuff like this isn't very useful, but we'll see. It does feel like it does feel a little bit like I mean there are basically stratagems that do this in 10th edition, and they are exactly as limited in utility as we're basically talking about right now. It's like, oh cool, I can move through intervening models when I charge. Like every once in a while I'll use that to get like an extra guy on no objective or something, but like who really cares? You're also talking about doing it with a 6 model unit. I don't know, man. It's like, well, it's not like we're sending this huge brick of guys and they can, like, being able to move through models can string them out and do a bunch of like weird, crazy combat slingshots. We have 6 guys. I think the hope is that we can like construct the situation where your unit can like go through a screen to get to a vehicle. But I have a sneaking suspicion the chances that is something that happens is very limited, right? Check the Dakarig article. We read the Dakarig article yesterday. Land speeders estimated to be around 90 points. Is that somebody just saying that it should be 90, or is that like actual confirmation from somewhere? We did talk about the land speeder earlier in the stream. I think, I don't know. It is like harder to kill. I think 90 is probably okay. I imagine at some point maybe it gets a little bit of a cut. It's like what's a Viper at right now? Like 65? That's basically it's a harder to kill Viper, which is currently 75, and that's not even played. And it has a utility ability. So 90 does all right. 90 does feel like a lot. I think I'm coming around to the fact that 90 might be a lot. This one gets an extra gun though? I don't know. I feel like it feels like something that would start at 90 and then you would end up moving to like a little bit less later. But I guess fly is more relevant now, so who knows? Paul Murphy's Space Marine list for the live play article. Oh, did they post lists? I didn't read this article, so I don't know. They did. Oh, but they didn't post points. Well, I mean that could mean anything. That could mean anything, chat. Like who knows what the points values are if literally every unit is different. Yeah, Desolation Squad. We get to it's for sure. I think it's interesting. I think for sure they wanted to showcase a bunch of the new mechanics, right? So they're like, we're going to showcase the heavy bolter unit. We're going to showcase the new indirect fire mechanics. We're going to showcase some of the new fly mechanics for sure. Is an ancient. What is this ancient doing? Hanging out with 10 intercessors? I guess like this is probably going to be new codex stuff, right? So this will be kind of wild. Dude, there's a Morkanaut on this list. Let's go, dude. Let's go. Also, 10 Gretchen instead of 11. We get to play the list without the Run Herd in it. Oh, what a time. These are going to be on Warhammer TV. Is that right? Next Monday. It'll be live from the Esports Stadium in Arlington, Texas. I mean, that's actually kind of goated, though. 3 back-to-back games of new Warhammer 40,000. Operation Imperator Community Clash and Championship Rematch. Oh, because they got Liam VSL and Richard Siegler back. That's cute from World Championships last year. I like that, actually. That's kind of sweet. First game showcases the contents of the Armageddon box set and stuff. This is gonna be like this is like a 12-hour marathon. Should we watch? Should we watch along here, chat, on this one? I don't know if I want to watch for all 12 hours on live stream, but it'd be kind of fun. It won't be live due to technical difficulties. I think that's why they're in an esports arena, chat. I think they're like, guys, you have the setup done. We don't have to do anything, right? Can we just hire you out and then you can just make it work? That's pretty cool. All they have to do, they just hire out the production team, and then they just have to bring the talent, which is much better. So we'll see. Using really good players feels like confidence in the system. I mean, we'll see. It depends on like how much practice they have with it. You know, I don't know necessarily if they like gave them the entire rule book the day before and were like, hey, play this system. I don't know how much work they would have to be able to, or how much time they would have to be able to like really get into the nitty gritty. I mean, there's so much stuff. There's so much like weird bullshit that we find 2, 3, 6, 12 months into an edition where we're like, actually line of sight didn't work how we thought, you know? So we'll see if they actually have the opportunity to like dive in. And I think it's going to be very much a surface level kind of look. They should cosplay. Well, they should cosplay as each other. Why do the lists have a weird break in the middle? I don't know. That's a really good question. It's like, it does seem like a random assemblage of models. Usually that differentiates like captains versus, or characters versus like units. I don't know why they have a weird break in the middle. It's like 4 characters. It's characters, infantry, vehicles, characters, infantry, vehicles. It feels like that feels like a 9th edition list where it's like they've broken out all of the individual detachments. Maybe the detachment needs a headquarters? I don't think so. That has not been indicated in any of the stuff we've gotten so far. The indication right now is that each detachment is just a set of abilities, and that's even what they talked about at the Q&A. Each detachment is a set of abilities that you just like all stack together. It's not necessarily like a list building restriction, right? It's not like we are adding commandos to our, whatever, tactical detachment or something. It's that the tactical brigade is part of the detachment ability that we've constructed for the army. I don't know. That's interesting. Wonder if they'll be playing on pre-painted terrain. Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if it was just like, a nice version of their like normal tournament terrain set. It's interesting because one change that Games Workshop's like community streams have undergone in the last 3 years or so has been they used to, when they did community streams for large events, and they did like Adepticon or Nova Open or Las Vegas, all these streams, you would notice that the stream table terrain was dramatically different from another just the regular terrain that they would use, because they would do this like really done up, like very immersive version. I played on it at one point at Nova Open, like years and years ago. I played on the community stream one time, and it was like the terrain was much better on the live stream. It was like bigger and like more line of sight blocky, but it was very like the balance factor of the stream terrain was very different than the rest of the RB. So I don't know. Then the rest of the event, I should say. Anyway, I think that's all we had to talk about today. Interesting stuff. I'm cautiously optimistic about the new fly rules. We'll see. I hope it doesn't create a situation where flying is just dramatically better than non-flying, but it does feel like it strikes a little bit of a happy medium. So yeah, that should be good. I do think that there has been a bit of a reversal of fate here, where flying units in 10th edition do tend to be played less because they tend to be larger. Now, that's a little bit more difficult to balance around, because model conformation is not something that is typically balanced for by GW in 40k, which is unfortunate. That is that's a misstep in my opinion. But it is the case where, like, we had this even discussion on stream last week, because I'm building a Tyranid army for a GT next week, and I was like, I could save points by switching a Hive Tyrant to a Winged Hive Tyrant, but in doing so, I make my army worse, because the Winged Hive Tyrant is so much bigger than the regular Hive Tyrant, and so he's harder to hide, he's harder to maneuver, he's harder to place in a position. And so the Foot Hive Tyrant is actually stronger because he's a little small guy. And I don't know necessarily if that's accounted for in balance, right? Because the Winged Hive Tyrants are also easier to kill too. So it's like he's bigger and harder to hide, but also like doesn't get any defensive benefit from that. And the same goes for a lot of stuff, right? Like Eldar Grav tanks are flying, and also the size of the moon, despite the fact that their defensive profile sucks. So being able to more easily hide behind terrain features and then hop over them definitely helps a lot of that case. But then you have like the showcase they have here is like a Riptide Battlesuit, and a Riptide Battlesuit is just a regular like vehicle. It is in fact smaller than the Rhino in this in this showcase, despite the fact that it's dramatically more maneuverable. So it does feel to me like it's gonna help a little bit of those units that are a little bit lesser played. But in some cases, because they really don't take into account the size of a miniature when balancing it, there are going to be cases where some stuff is just going to be really, really strong. I mean, I, for one, welcome our new Riptide Battlesuit Overlords. We'll see. Indeed, chance. Cool. Anyway, folks, that's it for me today. I'm going to hop off. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me. And I'll see you all later. We'll be live tomorrow talking about Grey Knights. I don't think I'm going to be live on Twitch at all today because I have a bunch of work to catch up on. But otherwise, I will talk to you later. I'll talk to you tomorrow. So good night, everybody. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.